we've come here to celebrate, the work of investigative journalists. I come from a country that had it not been for the work of investigative journalists, I am pretty sure things would have gone south so fast that we would have been, I don't know where. You guys are doing a very, very important job. So congratulations on this milestone. And I see why it is fitting that your theme deals with the issue of sustainability imperatives for African media. For Arena Holdings, the company that I work for, to be invited to share a few thoughts and ideas on how to build a sustainable media business in Africa, it's not taken lightly. As a media business, well, Dario, you've been in this for longer than us. We've only been a media business for just under 3 years. Yes, we've got legacy brands, Sunday Times, 150, the Herald down in the southeast, 175 years old. But Arena, as a vehicle, as a company that owns these brands, has only been around for just under 3 years. So to be sharing this platform and maybe later on being part of the panel with such great minds and experienced media owners can only mean one thing, that what we've been doing down home in Johannesburg and many other parts of South Africa where we have some presence is being noticed, that we're on the right track and that the world is watching. We are flattered and thank you so much. During this keynote address, I wish to frame this talk. I wish to share a few thoughts on the theme. I'm getting some feedback. Don't know whether it's my phone, but it's on. Okay, because mine is on. So, share a few thoughts on your theme, which is a subject that is very, very close to our heart. Our holding company is all about building sustainable businesses. If Tshepo had been here delivering this talk, because he's a simple man, he would have primarily spoken about how he has been doing business right throughout Africa for the past 20 years or so. He would have shared experiences from having traveled the continent. And the 2 years that he has been at the helm of this media business. So I will limit myself to talking about the media business, because I was not part of his journey when he was investing all over the continent. But maybe later on during the panel, I'll do less talking and more listening, so that I can also take some lessons from you colleagues that I can take with me when I go home and share those with some of my colleagues. So, Eugenia, if you allow me, I hope to deal with this topic from 2 vantage points. The sustainability of a media as a business and the sustainability of a media as a fourth estate. So, what should we do and what should we be focusing on if we want to build sustainable businesses, media businesses? Firstly, let me just draw some experiences from our other business, which is the owner of Arena Holdings. The company is called Lebashe Investments. I know it sounds French, it is not. That business is built on the promise of building a legacy balance sheet. So from the very beginning, the founders of that business, have been consumed with how to build a sustainable organization, media organization. For them, it has always been about sustainability. LE of Lebashe comes from the LE of legacy. BA, or if you pronounce it Ba, like me, comes from the BA of balance. And SHE comes from the SHE in sheet, the one with two E's. So at Lebashe, we are building a legacy balanced sheet. We are building a business that will outlive its creators. It is, to me, I was not there when they were founding the business, but to me it says one thing, that those who founded the business had always had the issue of sustainability in mind when they went about setting up Lebashe. In our humble view, as Arena Holdings also, building a sustainable media business goes hand in hand with being purpose-driven. I'll explain that just now. In our view, it goes hand in hand with being purpose-driven. I know as journalists, we're not really people who focus a lot on purpose. But I just want to challenge us this morning. And I want to argue that as media owners in Africa, we have to be clear what our reason for existence is. There must be more to our business than selling advertising space, selling subscriptions, selling half-page ads on the front page. Yes, these are very important as they make our business financially viable. That I agree, they're very, very important. But I'm talking about a much bigger purpose. The reason for your existence as a media organization. And I want to argue that we must always ask ourselves, what is our contribution? Firstly, to the development of Abuja. Yeah, no, fine, we are a media organization, but what have you done? What have you contributed as an organization that operates out of Abuja? What has been your contribution been? What have you contributed to the development of Nigeria and Africa at large? There must be a reason for your existence. And the very fact that you are operating out of Abuja, like all other businesses. And what is that contribution? This is important because if you take time to study some of the most successful and sustainable businesses in the world today, you will see that they have one thing common. They are purpose-driven. I was told that I would be speaking to media owners, and I heard that during the introduction, there's quite a few, in the room. One thing that is common between them is that they are purpose-driven. Look at all of them. They outperform the stock markets. They have an increase in the share of wallet. They're successful. I'll take you through one or two of them just now. But what I like about them is that all of them are clear about their purpose. And it has been proven repeatedly that long-term business success goes hand in hand with a coherent sustainability strategy. So I submit to you this morning that to be a sustainable media business, you must have a deep purpose. Deep purpose organizations are deeply committed to both positive commercial outcomes, as we should, but they're also committed to positive social outcomes. And what is your purpose as a media organization this morning? Let me just give you 3 examples of successful businesses that I want to argue that they are also purpose-driven businesses. The first one is Mercedes-Benz. It is an extremely competent brand with a culture of excellence in taking us safely and conveniently from point A to point B. Their purpose is not to build cars. Their purpose is to move you from point A, competently so, from point A to point B. Johnson & Johnson, go and read their creed. Their creed challenges them to put the needs and well-being of the people they serve first. That's their purpose. Tesla. We know Tesla is a car manufacturer, most of us, isn't it? But Tesla says their reason for existence is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. And they do that by building cars. We can also have a purpose as media businesses. And we can do that by writing stories, by interviewing people. But that's not the reason for our being. Whatever the purpose is, it manifests in our case through the news stories that we print in our newspapers, the content that we create on video, the interviews that we do on radio, and all of that. But what is our purpose? And I want to argue this morning that if we want to be successful as media businesses, we have to have a purpose. So what is your purpose, guys? What is your purpose? You must ask yourself this question because it is imperative to have a purpose. I know I'm repeating myself. If you want your business to be sustainable. If you don't have one, take your team away on a breakaway retreat. Have a strategy session, and during that weekend away, everyone must be seized with this question. What is our reason for our existence? What is the reason for our existence? Why are we here? We're not here to sell subscriptions only. No, there is a bigger purpose. There must be a bigger purpose. When Levache bought, I'm bringing it closer now to ourselves. When Levache bought the media assets of a company called Tshepo Mahloele, so it brought all the brands that Eugenia mentioned when she was introducing me. So the holding company then said, okay, let's now find a home for all of these media assets. Arena Holdings then was born. We did not say we are Arena Media. We said we are Arena. And there's a reason why. We knew that to be sustainable, we needed to think differently. And not only in traditional ways. We needed to find new income streams. We needed to come up with new products. It was a very, very tough environment that we trade in. You guys know. And we came up with a vision. We said our vision is to connect people of all cultures. So at Arena Holdings, we're still struggling with this, but we want to get to a point where if you ask anyone who works for the company, from the CEO to the person maybe who cleans, the offices, the lady who delivers mail, the drivers who take staff to, the bus stations after work. We want to get to that point where if you ask them, what do you guys do exactly as Arena Holdings? We want them to answer and say, we sell connections. We don't sell newspapers. We sell connections. We can connect you to whoever you think is your audience. We've got them. You want petrol heads, a car manufacturer, and you want petrol heads, we can connect you. All our newspapers have got motoring sections. We've got a motoring channel. So we're not selling the channel, we're selling connections. So we said our vision is to connect people of all cultures. And then what is our mission? We said our mission is to enrich lives with content that informs, entertains, and educates. And then we said we want to build a purpose-led, sustainable business. Yes, we value the truth and integrity. I mean, you know all of this. We all talk about it. But we said we are arena because we want to be like a stadium, like a village square, a town hall, a place that is open to scrutiny, a place where many things happen. So we said that's our business. Back there when we speak to me, you know. And then we said, okay, what is our purpose then? If connections is what we sell, then what is our purpose? You know, we said, let's find our purpose. And we identified our purpose. In all our strategic documents, you will always see it. It's written on the top right corner. It's in red. It says we want to be a platform of hope. You know, I'm getting to the stuff that you were talking about, Eugenia, when we were talking about some northeast area that, you know, where there are some nice positive stories that are happening, but we're not reporting about them. The stuff about the cake, the little meat, the cake, and all of it. We said we want to be that. We want to be a platform of hope as Arena Holdings. We're going to write all the stories that newspapers care about. But we want, when people come onto our platform, they must find hope. In my country, and I'm sure it's happening here in Nigeria, there is so much that is going wrong. So much. You know, at times, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm glad that I left my journalism job. You know, you get home, you're like, you know what, I just want to watch the food channel. I don't want to go to the news channels. I've had enough. And I'm sure it's happening here. If you go to our platform now, one of the most popular digital platforms is called timeslive.co.za. I have not checked this morning, but I can assure you, if you go there today, now, there's probably a story about a politician who's being exposed for being corrupt. You will find that story. The guys are probably breaking a scandal now as we speak. You know, as journalists, we love scandals. When we were at the Sunday Times, we had a content mix that we agreed on. We even said page 5 because it's your second facing page. That's where we publish the biggest scandal of the week. You know, we're probably breaking a scandal now as we speak. You'll probably read a lot about despair and destruction following the floods that ravaged Durban, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. The floods left hundreds of people and families homeless, killed hundreds of people. You'll find those stories. You'll probably find another story that says Johannesburg is one of the mega capitals in the world. You'll find those stories on our platform. There is just no way that we're not going to carry those stories. You can't avoid them, you can't ignore them. You know, we carry those stories. While we cannot ignore those stories, we've had to also challenge our journalists and editors to say, can you also make a massive effort to find stories of hope? The world is not coming to an end. No, it's not ending, not anytime soon at least. You know, can we find those pockets of excellence? For every corrupt politician that we find, I'm sure we can find a story of someone going an extra mile. So that when people come onto our platform, they can also find that hope. Because we said we want to be a platform of hope. We need to tell, as African media, we need to tell the rest of the world that whilst there is a lot of negative issues and destruction in South Africa, in Nigeria, you know, throughout the continent, there are huge pockets of excellence there are also opportunities on this continent or in this continent. We have to give hope to the future generation that while we have messed up as this generation, there is still a future for them and the generations that are going to come after them. That is why we said we want to be a platform of hope, and that is our purpose as Arena Holdings. So we cannot be the ones that are always destroying our towns. You know, yes, I said those stories, there is no way that we're not going to go after them. Dio, those the government officials were talking about, we go after them with venom. You know, but we can't just be destroying our towns. We can't be destroying our provinces and our countries and the continent. We can also play a role in finding solutions to the problems that are bedeviling our communities. So why can't we be part of those meetings as the media organization to say, let me just divert, I'll come back here. So I know of this little town in the US, I won't be able to tell you the name of the town. They were killing their cops like it's nobody's business. There's a guy who was the editor of a small, their local newspaper. So the news editors in the morning, they're excited about the diary. They go to the editors conference and then they pitch the story. And the entry on the diary, it says, yet another cop has been murdered. And the editor said, I am not carrying that story today. I'm actually tired. You keep bringing back the same story every week. He said, no, I'm not running it tomorrow. Find a different angle. They came back. No, I said, no. They came back. He said, no. Eventually they thought, they sat on the news desk, came up with an idea. They went back to the editor and pitched the same story, but they pitched it differently. So you know what they did? They said, we're calling a meeting and it's going to be in the town hall. We're calling members of the community. We're asking them a question. Why do you keep killing the very same people that are supposed to be protecting you? So in there, the editor said, I'm fine. So the story changed. Yes, they still mentioned that, Sergeant so-and-so has been killed. And said, look, as the Abuja Times, we want you to come, let's have a conversation as the community. And look at what is wrong with us. Why are we killing the cops? People came, young people, faith-based organizations, NGOs, women's organizations, they packed the town hall. In the end, young people stood up because now the elderly folks or folk are pointing the fingers to them. It's them who are killing. The young people stood up and said, well, it's probably because we have nothing to do. We get bored, there are no recreational facilities. A local businessman stood up and said, okay, if you're looking for a space, to play basketball, I've got a warehouse here. I have not used it for 6 years. I'm not fixing it for you. I'm giving it away to the community. Another one says, I run a hardware store. I can make paint available. We can paint it and all. Another one, sports manufacturing company, said, okay, I will do this. But not all of that happened in one meeting. But, as they kept meeting, and, people were coming forward and making pledges. This is what I can do. This is what my business can do. And the newspaper started a whole movement. And it kept, each time they reached a milestone, the newspaper would celebrate, it would scream, it would make noise, tell everyone of what was happening in that town. When the crime stats were released a year later, the crime had come down. So I'm saying, we go after them. Those government officials, they must know that we exist. We put them on the front pages, we shame them, we do everything we can to tell the whole world that you are actually corrupt. But I'm also arguing that we can also be part of the efforts, to find solutions to some of our problems. We can be a very powerful change agent as the media. So that is why I asked the question, my brothers and sisters, to say, what have you, as a media organization, done done to help develop Abuja, Nigeria, and what has been your contribution to the development of the continent? So that's one that I think is a very critical imperative in building a sustainable business organization. Purpose, being purpose-driven as a media. But another one is competence. If you want to be known as a business that does good, that is socially caring, you first have to be commercially sustainable. No one will argue with that. If you've got nothing in your pocket, chances are that you won't be able to look after others. For you to be commercially sustainable, your business must be strong on competence. You must be a competent business. You must know your stuff. And this will happen, you now being a competent media organization. It will happen when you have a deep-rooted and authentic culture of appreciating people and their roles within your organization. Then they'll start delivering for you. Isn't it? So it's important that we ourselves, we focus on being competent media organizations or media houses. That we strive for a culture of excellence, openness and transparency. And that we make a difference, to those that we serve. Let me bring it closer to us now as the media. What I've just said above can apply to all organizations. But for us to be competent in what we do, it means we must be clear about the business of our business. Most of us in this room are news business owners, and our business is news. Therefore, we must be competent in how we generate and deliver news to our audiences. There are two things in my mind, or in my humble opinion, that will help us deliver a competent news product. The first and the most important one is editorial independence. And the second one is commitment to investing in compelling, exclusive, and relevant news content. These are commitments that you have to make yourself as a news business owner. That I stand for media freedom. I don't stand for editorial interference. That I will invest in making sure that we're able to get competent, compelling, exclusive, and relevant content onto my platform. These are commitments that as a media owner you must make. And as media owners, I don't know here in Nigeria, but back home, this conversation is led by editorial executives. And I want to argue that we have to take our rightful place as media owners and become crusaders for media freedom and editorial independence. When we get invited to speak at conferences everywhere, all around the world, our journalists must hear us at every opportunity that we're given, assuring them that we will not interfere with their independence. It is very important. We can't leave it. We can't leave this conversation only to be driven on our editorial flaws. It has to be on the fourth floor. As a media owner, you must be a crusader for media freedom. It's important if we want our businesses to be sustainable. The sustainability of the media is strongly linked to its capacity to operate effectively under sound political, legal, and economic conditions, isn't it? But politicians, we spoke a lot about politicians. Politicians must know that as media business owners, that there is a line that we are not prepared to cross. That's when they know that there's a line that as owners we are not prepared to cross. They're not going to call you when they are receiving calls from your journalists, because they will know that media owner X will tell me to go to hell. They won't even attempt to contact you. We must ask ourselves, why are they contacting us as media owners? Why are they not going to the editors? because we have given them that space. You know, they now think that they can come to us, you know, and implore us and force us, you know, to interfere with the work of our journalists. I'm arguing that's a conversation that should be led in our offices as media owners or media executives, not only for editors. When we do that, it will give our news products integrity that we so. It will give our news products that integrity that we so much desire. Our audiences will start trusting our news as being competent, worth consuming, and worth paying for. If our news, if there's no integrity in what we do, you can just give up now. No one will pay for it. No one will pay for it. I'm a great believer, as a former editor myself, I'm a great believer in the independence of the media. It is sacrosanct and must never be interfered with. The Economist of last month, I think the date was the 3rd of May, does not paint a very impressive picture on media freedom. Remember, I'm arguing that media freedom is one of the imperatives for a sustainable media organization. Globally, press freedom is in retreat. That should worry all of us. Around 85% of people live in countries where it has declined over the past 5 years. Since the Russian army invaded Ukraine 4 months ago, more than 20 journalists have been killed. The sharpest decline in media freedom in the past decade has come from and has included several of the most populous countries. Last year, 488 journalists were behind bars. This is according to Reporters Without Borders. Many more were subject to intimidation. As media owners, we cannot allow this to happen, especially here in Africa. Colleagues, we need to be vigilant and not allow the African media to be silenced, skewed, or captured. As African media owners, we must raise our voice and must always be standing on the side of media freedom. Those rands and nairas will follow if your audiences, they view your content as being content of integrity. And it will be content with integrity when there is no interference, when we allow journalists to do their work. So I want to argue that media freedom is one of those imperatives in building a sustainable business. The other one is leadership. I don't even have to, to spend time on this one, except to say, if you want to run a sustainable business, you've got to structure yourself correctly. Find the right kind of leaders. Structure yourself correctly in a way that will bring stability to the business and in a way that will ensure future growth. Leadership is very, very important. Without spending a lot of time on leadership, because I think we all agree on it, let me now move on to another imperative of building a sustainable media business. And that one is trusting your strategy development, execution, and management processes. Once you've agreed on a strategy, just trust the process. Trust that your strategy will deliver on its promises. Remember, you've got your strategy. You've looked internally and you've said, do I have the right people to deliver on the promises of this strategy? If the answer is yes, maybe you've got them internally. If you don't, go outside, find the right people that will deliver, on the promises of your strategy. Once you have found these people, trust the process. Trust the process. When we first took over the media assets and built and started Arena Holdings, we were clear on our strategy and the company that we wish to build. And we said, we're going to build the Arena into a financially sound business. We're going to build the Arena into a towering and advanced media business. Lastly, we said we're going to build the Arena into a socially caring corporate citizen. All of this remains work in progress. It takes time. This is a 5-year strategy. But huge strides have been made in our business, and we continue to make those strides every day. So I want to argue that ours as media owners is to trust that the strategy process will deliver on its promises. COVID has made us speed up various delivery mechanisms, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about as well here. Yes, sometimes there's always that urge to get things done quickly. I just don't have 5 years. That urge is always there. But in business, as you know, there are some things that cannot be rushed. And building a media business into a sustainable organization is one of those. You can't rush it. You spoke about, the internet and this, about traditional media business transitioning from a legacy print business into a content-based business. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. So trust the process. It's going to happen. Support your executives. Support the strategy. If you've got a strategy unit, I work in a unit called Group Strategy. We're a group of strategists. You should see our office. We've got boards all over. We think, we dream, we write everything on the board. We bring the CEO into our room and say, look, you said you want to restructure your exco. You said you want everyone to be consumed with audience development. This is what we think. They will say, no, I don't. Guys, can you still apply your mind on this and this and this? But trust the process, even if you don't agree with some of the things that are in the strategy. But trust the process. So, at Arena Holdings, we don't believe that newspapers are dying or are dead. Newspapers have not died. What has changed is consumption patterns. People are still consuming news, and people are still consuming our media, but the consumption patterns have changed. We are not one of those businesses that have stopped investing in news. We hire senior journalists. We hiring and partnering with other senior content generators or creators, and we're bringing in new technologies because we need technology to take our content to where the audiences are. Gone are the days where audiences came to look for your content. You now have to go and find them. So you need technology to intervene and take you to where the audiences are. So we're not one of those businesses that believe that newspapers are dead. They're not dead. But yes, the newspaper of yesteryear is gone. It's never coming back. But the newspapers are still there. So in our business, we're doing everything that we can to prolong the life of the physical newspaper. And we're beginning to reap the rewards for doing that. So I want to urge you, instead of investing elsewhere, protect what is your traditional business, your legacy business. Protect it by investing in it and explore and grow elsewhere. That is our strategy. We're protecting our newspapers. The channels that I'm talking about, most of them have been hired for our newspapers. But we're exploring new opportunities for growth elsewhere. And as Arena Holdings, we have said, for us, the growth is in audio and video. So that's where we're exploring, trying out new things. You know, we're also investing there, but we have not said we're going to stop hiring journalists, because as much as we want to transition from being a news business to being a content business, 80% of our revenues, they're still coming from the news business, from what is traditionally like your newspapers. That's what keeps us going. So we cannot stop investing in news. While we invest in news, or on our legacy side of the business, we continue to explore new opportunities, not only in news, but in entertainment as well. But the advantage that we have over other media businesses is that our business is not strictly a news business, as we have other assets in entertainment. We own Gallo Music, as we've heard. Gallo Music is one of the oldest recording and publishing businesses in the world. It's 96 years old this year. We also own a film production business. We also distribute movies on behalf of the major studios in the US. I don't know what the figure is outside of South Africa, but in South Africa, we are responsible for bringing 40% of the movies that the South African market consumes. We are responsible for that. So for us, that video and audio space, that's where we're exploring, because that's the future of our business. But we have not stopped. And we've said we're going to trust our strategy. Said we build here, we explore and grow here, and we keep reminding the chairman and the CEO to say, if you want to trust the process, it will deliver. Trust your strategy, it will deliver. We're investing a lot in production of movies, and we are placing a lot of emphasis in telling the African story through documentaries and film productions. But let me show you how we are also connecting the new business with the legacy business. So you've got all your journalists here, very respected journalists who are part of our newspapers. But we've got production resources sitting here. Then we've said, instead of buying documentaries, because now in our market, there's a huge appetite for documentaries. We've got storytellers here. Why not connect them with the production guys this side? And then we started a new product, documentaries, which are now growing. And that's a new revenue source for us. So I'm saying you can still sweat your legacy business, and it can help you develop your new business. Here's another imperative. This is probably the last one now. Here's another imperative for a sustainable media business: collaboration and strategic partnerships. We've got to collaborate. We cannot do it alone. You can't do it on your own. I don't know how many of you know the story of the Gupta in South Africa. There was this Indian family. Hey, it wreaked havoc in South Africa. They were very close friends with the former president. They won every contract. They owned mines, newspapers, everything was going to them and their associates. So I was still at the Sunday Times at the time. A member of one of their businesses, I think someone who worked in IT, became very tired of what was going on, and they decided cloning. They cloned the server. I don't know if that's the right way to do it. And then they leaked those files. We call them Gupta emails or Gupta leaks. So these leaks were given to an organization like ICIR. It's called Amapungane in South Africa. Not Amapungane. It was given to another organization that decided it's going to work with Amapungane, the DIO and team. They had a whole plan. We did not know about the plan. So whoever gave them the information became very tired, like, you, these guys are taking too long. And they brought it to us at the Sunday Times. It's a Friday. And you know, Friday is not a good day at the Sunday Times, especially if we don't have very, very strong dialogue. And that week we had nothing. So someone gave us a flash drive. But they started by sending us a screen grab of one of the emails. I never responded. No, I didn't see it. I was busy the whole day. 7 o'clock, so you're not interested? Taking what? I said, no, I sent you a WhatsApp. So looked at the WhatsApp, and the WhatsApp said it's a letter from the president to one of the emirs in Qatar. He's asking if he can facilitate for him to move to Qatar because he's under pressure. Like, no, this can't be true. Did you write? Did you sign this? He says, no, I've got the whole down. So we got cut a long story short, we published on Saturday, and every day for the rest of the week, and this thing was trending for days in South Africa. Thursday, the guys who had been given this thing before us, they then started publishing, and they had an editorial, and they went for us in that editorial, attacking us for putting, the whistleblowers in danger, and all of that. So I called the guys. I was like, guys, honestly, are you serious here? We are sitting with possibly the biggest story of our lives as journalists, and we're fighting about who got it first, instead of sitting around the table and say, how do we collaborate and turn this thing into an international story? And that's what we need in Africa. We must collaborate. So when the next time there is a meeting somewhere in Europe about the next WikiLeaks. I think the first one was WikiLeaks. Were we not left out as Africa? They published on their own, the international media organizations. And then there's the Panama Papers. Colleagues, we must demand our place in those tables. We are not just here to consume their content. We create international content in Africa. They must take it, to the rest of the world. So we've got to collaborate. I'm arguing that we've got to collaborate if we want to grow our businesses. The collaboration we should not limit it only on news. In our case, we see ourselves now as a content business. We've done a deal with DJ Black Coffee. The younger guys probably know him. He just won a Grammy Award now. He's one of the top DJs in the country. We sold him 25% of Galo Music. And that deal is doing wonders for our business. We brought in a sportscaster, a guy called Robert Marawa. Those of you that watch sport on MultiChoice, you'll probably remember him. So he used to do a very popular sports show, a daily sports show for the public broadcaster. We poached him from the public broadcaster, and we said, hey man, we're doing something big here. You may not see it now, but if you stick with us for the next 5 years, you will start seeing what it is that we're doing. So he does a daily sports show. The flagship sports show in South Africa lives on a newspaper platform. It's on Sowetan Live, and then it's streamed on 2 regional radio stations, the first of its kind. Sowetan is a newspaper, but what we've done, we've stolen the best broadcaster in the country, and we've put him on a newspaper platform. So what I'm saying is that we've got to think collaboration. The audiences on Sowetan Live are going through the roof as we speak because of that. So when we collaborate, as much as I'm arguing that we must collaborate with these international media organizations like your BBCs and CNNs, we must stand our ground. While we want their content on our platforms, we also want them to buy our own content. We are not just the purchasers of international content. We are also producers of international content. out of Africa. So, with those few words, not few, I believe there's a future for us. We just have to think out of the box as media organizations. The traditional media business is gone and it's never coming back. I want to argue that let's transition from being a news business to being a content business. And that's the only way we are going to be sustainable. Let me leave you with these words, maybe to Dio and your team. As you guys do investigative reporting and all the associated work, is there a way that we can also try and be a platform of hope through the investigative work that we do? I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there is not. As media owners, I want to, can we ensure that we have a strong culture of achievement, of excellence, of leadership, that we have a clear growth strategy beyond the traditional, and structure our organizations for stability and growth? Dayo, I wish you and the organization well as you celebrate your 10 years of existence. May your purpose be strengthened as you move forward. All the best and many, many blessings. Thank you.
The International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, celebrating 10 years of promoting good governance.